Cool. So as Belinda said, it's really wonderful to see so many people here today. And I'm really, really looking forward to all the talks because I think there's a lot of exciting work going on. And I think we're all going to learn a lot. So I was just going to say a few words about SAPECS, which is sort of the initiative kind of a bit behind organizing this colloquium. So as Belinda said, it's very much a work in progress, and Belinda and I are coordinating it, but there's already various people involved, both from within the region and beyond. So maybe the first thing to say is very much it's this work in progress, but it's one of several case studies around the world linked to this new international program on ecosystem change and society, which we'll hear about a bit more in the very next talk. And the process to date is mostly we've had this big scoping workshop last year, where we tried to figure out how much interest is there, what do we want to do, etc., and a small follow-up meeting last October. And out of that workshop, we kind of identified 3 broad objectives that we'd like to achieve with SAPECS. So essentially, we'd like to develop it at the center as a research program and a transdisciplinary research program that produces the empirical evidence and really provides the understanding and the tools behind understanding social ecological dynamics in the Southern African region. And secondly, there was also a really strong feeling that people are very interested not just to have this understanding and generate research, but really to have an impact on policy and mainstream this into practice in the region. So that's also a very core objective. And then thirdly, we're very interested in growing this community of practice, including researchers and students and practitioners in the region. And I think that's actually been quite a large part of our focus to date, and part of this colloquium here is also within that objective. We also developed a conceptual framework at this meeting, and as you'll see, it's a very social-ecological framework where we have really thinking about social and ecological systems as these intertwined systems and not even separating them out into their social and ecological components. And then we're very interested in the ecosystem services that are provided by these social ecological systems. How does that matter for people, and especially within the regional context, what are the impacts on equity? And then thinking about governance and management practices for managing these social ecological systems. Then we also identified 6 research themes, which are the themes that this colloquium is also structured around. And you'll see them up there. It's basically the links between ecosystem services and human well-being, again, really emphasizing poverty and inequality, thinking about governance and management practices and institutions, thinking about traps and transformations and kind of trajectories of change into the future, and then really this question of cross-scale connections and flows. So how does what's happening in Southern Africa impact the rest of the world, and vice versa, how does changes in the world impact the region locally? And then there are 2 kind of themes that are more about the way in which we do research. So the one is really about this kind of transdisciplinary collaboration and training, and the other one is around mainstreaming into policy and practice. And within each of those themes, we've developed a bunch of research questions. And the idea is that these research questions will be pursued within different individual projects and case studies around the region. And these projects are at multiple scales. And at the moment, we focus mostly in South Africa, but we're very keen to expand it into the broader region and include researchers from working in other countries also. And then sort of thinking about how this SAPECS is organized, again, just to emphasize, it's very much a work in progress, and we're kind of still figuring it out. But essentially, we have sort of at this lower level these individual projects, which are mostly existing funded projects by researchers in the region. But the key focus within SAPECS is that we're really trying to kind of step above these individual projects and think about these broader cross-cutting kind of synthesis and comparison. So to try to understand what are some of the generalities we can pull from some of these individual projects. And so I think at this point, this is really the focus of SAPECS and the working groups. At the same time, we also realize there's many related initiatives within the region and a lot of interest already existing in different initiatives and in fora. So we're very interested also to connect with these other initiatives, and that is also partly the goal of this colloquium, is to make those connections. So just to briefly mention some of the outputs to date. So out of that initial scoping workshop, we generated this initial science plan, which we're now also developing into a framework paper that we'd like to submit to Ecology and Society. Then we're also working on a website, which we hope to launch within the next month or two. And then we'll try to keep that quite lively with more information. And then, of course, this event is quite a major activity. And then just to say, for people that are interested in more information, check the website when it becomes live. We'll also post the science plan, etc. on that website. And then one experimental feature of this website that we're trying to set up and see how it works is that we'll also try to have a discussion forum there, which is really more aimed at students, but also provide some reading lists and starting points for people interested in this kind of broad area. And then we hope to have future events. We're not exactly sure if it will be like this colloquium or other events, but we'd love people to be involved in those. And then lastly, there should also be some opportunities to participate in the working groups, but that is very much a work in progress, and we're kind of seeing how that develops over time. So, thanks very much.